Another tremendous benefit Genium offers to its users is to traverse obstacles and ascend stairs in a more natural way. The prosthesis user will need to be trained to use these natural motion patterns, especially since they would have been unable to perform them with a traditional prosthesis. The movement pattern is the same whether the user wants to overcome an obstacle or climb stairs step over step. While loading the prosthesis with the knee in full extension, the user first needs to extend the hip, then flex the hip, and finally reload the prosthesis. Start the exercise on level ground inside the parallel bars and teach the user to activate the function. Have them land on the prosthesis with the knee bent. As long as they keep a load on the prosthesis after performing the correct motion pattern, the knee will stay locked. Remind your user that the flexed knee can be loaded with confidence and that it will not collapse or bend inappropriately. Controlling the backward swing or hip extension motion of the prosthesis is an important goal. This can be repeatedly trained by using a soft object that is placed behind the user. As the therapist, it is best to assist the movement by standing next to the user and not behind them. Placing the foot under the first step of a stairway can help them understand the correct motion pattern. Start with a fully extended knee, keeping weight on the prosthesis. Extend the hip quickly, then flex the hip quickly with a snapping motion. Load the flexed prosthesis. It will be locked so the load can be applied. And then extend the hip. Because the hip extensors of prosthesis users are often not that strong, it may be helpful to integrate hip extensor strength training exercises into the user's training programs to maximize the benefits of the Genium. A first exercise can be done without the prosthesis. The user should lie on his stomach, with you as the therapist standing behind the table. Lay one hand on the residual limb and the other hand on the pelvis and increase resistance while the user extends his residual limb. A second exercise is performed while the user is wearing the prosthesis. Bend an elastic band around a stable object. The other side of the elastic band can be put around the prosthetic foot. Have the user move his prosthesis backwards. This exercise could also be performed during physical therapy at home. The user stands in front of the lowest step. The foot needs to be placed firmly and completely on the step. As soon as the user loads the flexed knee, he needs to extend his hip. Important hints for users when walking upstairs are: use a handrail to help prevent rotation of the socket, as well as to add confidence and to assist in ascending the stairs. Toe clearance does not come from the hip extension movement, but from the interaction between the hip extension and hip flexion movements. Place the whole foot on the step. Keep the prosthetic shank vertical while loaded on the step. The movement does not just go forwards, but also upwards, so that the upper body and the pelvis are moving in that direction while extending the hip. This movement can be initiated whether the user is standing still or walking. It's particularly important here that you make the user aware that he can stop this special behavior of the knee simply by stopping or changing the movement. This function can also be used to step over an obstacle. To help train your user, have them take the first step with whichever side is more natural for them. The activation of this function is similar to activating the stairs function. So, load the extended prosthesis. Extend the hip. Flex the hip with a snapping motion and load the prosthesis. You can have the user practice stepping over obstacles of various heights to build confidence. To overcome stairs and obstacles in this more natural way offers the user several advantages, including increased safety, since the flexed knee supports weight without collapsing, load and strain relief for the sound limb through considerable reduction of compensatory movements, and greater everyday freedom.